Hello everyone. So welcome back to part 5 of our tiger tattoo tutorial. This is actually the last part of the series. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for watching this video, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, so for this video, I'll be doing a quick summary for part 1, part 2, part 3, and part 4 of this series. And I'll also be putting a link in the description below so that you can check and see the video in full detail. This will just be a quick summary for the tiger tattoo tutorial. And as always, I just want to make a disclaimer. So the inputs that I'm sharing here, this is based on my experience. Alright, let's do a quick review for part 1. This video is mainly focused on the lower part of the tiger tattoo. And as you can see on the thumbnail, there are 3 important tips which you can learn out of this video. So that's mainly about STENCIL, wherein I mentioned that you should have good solid stencil, and I did mention which brand I prefer using. I'll just be putting a link as well where you can check the video about the stencil that I'm referring to. So aside from solid stencil, which is very important when doing realism, I also mentioned about techniques, how to do the whiskers, or in this case the lower hair on the chin area of the tiger. So I mentioned that when you use this technique, the whiskers of the tiger would look nicer and it would look more natural. And then for the last tip, which is was about knowing your tones, and the best way for you to do this is basically study your reference, know which area is dark and which ones are light, so that when you do the tattoo, you don't have to think which inks to use in which part, because you already made an advanced study for your piece. Now, if you want to check the details for the tips about part 1 of the tiger tattoo tutorial, just feel free to click the link below. So let's move on to part 2 of this tiger tattoo tutorial series. So basically this part covers the application aspect when doing the tiger tattoo, like technical aspects. For example, I mentioned that when you do shades, it will be better to do it slowly. And then I also mentioned which tones are better to use first. Like there are light tones, mid tones, and dark tones. So I did mention which tone would be better to use just in case you'll be doing adjustments. In this part, I also mentioned about the proper technique, about which part you should start your tattoo, whether you should start from outside or inside, in the upper area or in the lower area, as well as the shading technique that would look nice for the tiger tattoo. And if you want to check out the details for those tips that I've mentioned, just feel free to click the link for the part 2 of the tutorial. Okay, so now let's move to part 3. Now, in this video, I gave 7 tips, and these 7 tips are, again, a little bit technical, and it's mainly focused about techniques when using white ink. I mentioned about the needle depth, as well as which layer of the skin is the most optimal for putting in the white ink. I also mentioned about the use of voltage, whether it'd be better to run your machine at a lower volt, meaning slower speed, versus running it at a high speed. Now, I also mentioned that when doing the tiger tattoo, there are specific areas which you should not miss when putting in highlights. For example, the eyes, the whiskers, and other areas which I think are important to make the tattoo look more realistic. So again, if you want to find out the details for the tips for part 3 of this series, just feel free to click the link below. So now we move on to part 4 of this tiger tattoo tutorial series. In this video, we mainly focused on doing the crown area of the tiger tattoo. And I showed you that you can actually customize the details for the crown and put in the style you want, put in your own character for the crown, which will make the tattoo unique, and at the same time you'll be putting in your own personality on the piece that you're doing. Okay, so I hope you learned something out from this video tutorial series, and if you have any questions, just feel free to type them in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video.